What's up, my friend? Abby here, and welcome back to Ask Abby, where I answer your writing questions and help you make your story matter. So today I'm going to be answering your questions that came in on the Writer's Life Wednesday Facebook group. But first, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update, writing update, etc., because I feel like it's been a while since we sat here and casually had tea and talked about life. So, a lot has been going on lately in the entire world. It's been a really difficult time for a lot of people, pretty much everybody right now. So I want you guys to comment below right now and tell me how you're doing. How are you doing both physically and mentally right now? I know it's such a difficult time to go through, and I want to really emphasize that we're here as a community of writers. The Writer's Life Wednesday community is here to be our own support system. So comment below, tell me how you're doing, and tell me what you're working on as far as writing projects go, because you may have seen my live stream that I did last Monday, I think. Here's the link if you haven't seen it. But basically, I announced this amazing writing challenge that I kicked off last Monday with my sister, Kate. In our podcast, The Kate and Abby Show, we decided to do a writing challenge that basically motivates all of us to come together in this time of darkness and sadness and despair, really, and create something beautiful, create something that will spread light and positivity in the world that needs it so much right now. So if you haven't joined the Start Your Story Writing Challenge, go do that right now. The link to that video is right there, and the link to the group is in the description box below. So I started a new story. Oh my goodness. So I was on the fence about writing a new book, and with this story challenge, I was just like, I'm gonna just do it. I'm just gonna start the story because that's the whole point of the challenge. So I started writing it the other day, and it's really different from everything else I've written, but I really like it so far. It's top secret right now, so I can't really reveal much about the writing project itself, but I really like it. It's gonna be good. So I'm doing well. I am staying inside and I am writing this new book, which is very exciting. And I'm taking it slow. I'm kind of just writing it slow pace when I feel like it, which is certainly not the same energy that I have gone into previous books like NaNoWriMo. That's a totally different thing. But that's enough about me. Let's talk about you. I have some really great questions here from the Facebook group that I can't wait to answer. So roll that intro and let's get started.
Why does your story matter? Good question. What if I told you that there's a science behind every great story? I don't just teach you how to write. I teach you how to change the world with your story and make your author dreams come true.
Okay, in case you're new around here and you don't know how this works, here's the deal. You post your writing questions in the Writer's Life Wednesday Inner Circle Facebook group and hashtag it Ask Abby. And every other week, I show up here on YouTube to answer those questions. That is as many questions as I can, okay? It's no guarantee that I'm gonna answer all of them. I pick about 3 to 4 questions to answer on YouTube. This time I picked 5 because I love you guys. And this whole self-isolation quarantine thing has just made me want to talk to you more. So to get inside this secret Facebook group and post a question, plus get a bunch of other cool stuff, go to patreon.com/Abbie Emmons. Okay, let's get to the questions. Okay, first question is from Sean. Hey Abby, thanks for answering our questions. I was wondering, how do you properly balance the main story arc with the B stories? While writing my novel, I'm finding myself juggling all these threads and I'm not sure how to place them in a coherent way. That's a great question and a very frequently asked question, I would say, amongst the writing community, amongst writers, because we all want to incorporate the subplots coherently with the main plot in our story. So I actually made a couple of videos on this. One was about side characters, writing powerful side characters, link is right there, and another one was about writing subplots, and I'll put the link right there as well. All links are in the description box below too. So side characters and subplots are kind of the same thing, but not quite. However, when I am figuring out my subplots, I like to figure out the sub-characters first. So every subplot is really just the plot of a sub-character, right? And I've talked about this in previous videos, but during the stage of outlining, when you are figuring out your character profiles and figuring out who your main characters are going to be and who your side characters are going to be, those side characters are going to have story arcs of their own, okay? They're going to have plots of their own. They might even have a negative arc to contrast the protagonist. They may have a flat arc. My favorite is, of course, the positive arc, and if you're going to have role model characters, I recommend the positive character arc for all your role model characters, right? Yeah. So figuring out the sub-character's plot is really what side plotting is. I like to do this in my Scrivener. If you use my Scrivener template that I give out on my Patreon, you will find a document in the Scrivener template that is called subplots, I think. And it lists out the sub-characters with just a really quick one-liner explanation of how their plot is going to go. And that's the format that is explained and outlined in my side characters video. So definitely check that out, and the subplots. So I recommend before you start writing the novel, or even if you already started writing the novel, even if the novel's finished and you're just revising it, really you can do this at any stage of the writing process. Make that list of this character somehow in relation to the protagonist mistakenly believes this thing, but they're throughout the course of the events, and you can even write what the events are, they're going to learn this. Another way to weave the subplot into the story is to use scene cards. So if you haven't seen my scene card video, check that out as well. There's a place in the scene card at the heading for subplots. So as your story progresses, you can see how the subplots all find a place in your outline inside of your scene cards. Okay, next question from Megan. Would you comment on filling the well versus creative flow during this time of uncertainty? After things got serious in my area, I stopped writing for a week. When I restarted, I went from 1 to 2,000 words a day to 200. In the meantime, I've been reading, watching more books and movies. Have you noticed a similar need to consume more during this time to keep the well full? That's a really good question, Megan. This is definitely a time where you can feel pretty starved of creativity, and almost like to create and to write is a distraction or frivolous because of what's happening and because of how serious things are right now. But like I said in my live stream last week, it is not frivolous, and it is not a distraction, because it is life-giving. It is something beautiful that you are creating, light and positivity in the world, which needs it so much, especially right now. But it can be hard to find the inspiration to be creative when it's just such a dark time. So yes, keeping the well full, that is a really good way to say it. I've talked about that before on the channel, filling your cup, because when you do create, you are basically emptying your cup and you're giving it to others and you're pouring it out in your art, which is great, but you do need to fill your cup, fill your well, and you need to gather the inspiration and the good energy and the good ideas. So yes, totally take the time that you need to consume more things, consume more books, more high quality stories, whether that's TV or movies or books. If you find that it's giving you inspiration in life and creativity, do that. And I think it's also especially helpful, pro tip, to find somebody that you're in quarantine with, maybe, or somebody virtually that you can discuss these things with, and maybe have a little book club with them, or read the same books, watch the same movies at the same time, and discuss it, and make it something that is more energizing and uplifting. And I think you'll find that that is really inspiring. It always inspires me a lot. And my movie watching, TV watching buddy is Kate, by the way. No surprise there. Speaking of which, a couple days ago, me and Kate posted a new episode of the podcast, which you can check out right here, where we talk about some of our favorite ways to nourish during times of stress. I think you'll get a lot out of that episode, because we go over our favorite self-care practices and why they help us so much and boost our creativity and keep us inspired, especially during stressful times. Next question is from Passant. Hi Abby, I am so excited for this video. My question doesn't really have to do with writing, but can you please recommend some starter books about psychology? Absolutely. So I know that I replied to your comment and I said, have you read Wire for Story because that is my favorite and I recommend it to everybody. I also love this one just as much, Story Genius, both by Lisa Cron. So if you're a writer and you're into psychology or you want to learn more about the psychology of writing other than binge watching my videos, definitely read both these books. I especially love Story Genius. I think I'd have to say that I love Story Genius even more. There are so many highlights in this. I think I highlighted like every page. So that says a lot. Great starter pack right here, but just psychology in general. So I'm making my way through a few psychology books at the moment. One of my favorites so far is Incognito by David Eagleman, and it is super fascinating, especially like the book version. I think I have the audiobook version as well, but it has like cool graphs and pictures, but just super awesome, fascinating general psychology stuff that can absolutely be applied to writing. Also munching on Your Brain is Almost Perfect by Reed Montague. And this one is very interesting as well. It's a little bit more dense, I would say, but it's still cool. And I haven't even started this one, sadly. This one I'm like the most excited to read, but Lisa Cron talks about it a lot in Story Genius. Self Comes to Mind. Very excited to read this one. And one of my absolute favorites, this is not specifically writing related, but it's one of my absolute favorites, The Happiness Advantage by Sean Achor. I love this book so much. Like, how can you not love a book, first of all, that is yellow and has like a smiley face on the cover? Like, you have to just be a total Scrooge to not love a book like that. This is such a fascinating read and just amazing helpful tips for working, writing your entire life and being more happy and finding more joy in your everyday life and how that translates over to productivity in your work. So yeah, that's my current stack of psychology books. Haven't gotten through all of them yet, but I absolutely 110% recommend Wire for Story and Story Genius. I cannot say enough good things about those books. Literally changed my writing life. Hey, Prince here. I just joined about a week ago. Awesome. And I want to know if you can shoot some advice on writing a series. I came up with this urban fantasy story about a year ago and realized there's absolutely no way I can possibly fit this into one book. In fact, I'm estimating at least 15. I say at least because I can't stop creating new characters and stories for them in my head. And every book will be leading up to a major sequence of events that'll completely change the entire world as they see it. Foreshadowing starts in the first. I want to make this series the absolute best it can possibly be, so yeah. That's awesome. 15 books. Wow. Like, I have such a hard time even thinking about writing a series. Like, I'm such a one-shot writer. I always think in terms of a one-shot. So no matter how many books you write into this series, and no matter how many crazy plot twists you have in the plot itself, the most important thing to remember is what I always talk about in my videos, is that every single thing that happens has to matter to the characters. And you have to show us how it matters specifically to these characters. So it can be something that generally it would impact anybody. It would be difficult for anybody. It would be terrible for anybody to deal with. But how is it specifically important and terrible and crazy and surprising and difficult to deal with because of these characters and who they are? I love the idea of upping the stakes every time a book ends. That is so cool. And you could try to make it work with the 3-act structure. So I'm gonna be doing a video a while from now, I'm not sure when, a little while from now, about writing a series using the 3-act story structure. But for now, I actually do have a template. It's not complete, but it's like a work in progress template, and you can grab that template in the resource hub on my Patreon. You're a patron, you're in the group, so you can find that in the resource hub. You know where to find it. If anybody else wants that template, check out the Patreon, and all tiers get the resource hub of printables, templates, and checklists. Again, it's not a completed template, so I'm still working on it here and there, but it's kind of interesting because it's built for 3 books. So I know you're doing 15 books, but it's built for 3 and you can kind of repeat it. So that's what's so cool about the structure, in my opinion, is that it doesn't matter what the story is about. It could be a urban fantasy or it could be a contemporary romance. And you can take the 3-act story structure, same story structure, and make it work for pretty much any story under the sun. And it's so cool because it has all these action points, all of these really emotional plot points that happen at exactly the right story beats, and it's just tried and true. It's great. So check that out. Check out that template for writing the series. Again, it's only 3 books, but you could find a way to repeat it and make it work for 15 or however many you want. Last question is from Sylvia. Here's the question I want to ask Abbie. As discussed, I have a lot of dialogue. It's begging to be enriched by descriptions and good atmosphere narrative. A, how do you know when to dwell on a moment and when to move on? And B, what parts of the story are better expressed in dialogue and which in narrative? Different kinds of showing. This has been bugging me for a while. I thank you ever so much for doing the Q&A show. Stay cool, stay healthy. Okay, so when to dwell on a moment and when to move on? Great question. I actually made a video quite similar to this topic about pacing and description and how they're kind of the same thing. If you haven't seen that, check that out, because what I'm about to say is basically the shortened version of it, which is everybody who reads your book is going to see the events happening at the pace at which they read. That to me is like the key of pacing. It's the whole answer to the question, what is pacing? What is good pacing? Well, people see it happening at the pace at which they read. Now, everybody reads at a slightly different pace, but if you make a description go on and on and on, they're gonna be like seeing it in slow motion, slowly studying every single detail of this thing. Most things do not need to be described like that. Especially if you are trying to give us the big picture real quick, we don't need to go into detail about every single part of the big picture. Oftentimes, less is more. You don't have to go on and on about something if you can describe it concisely and clearly with few words in the amount of time that you want people to see it. So definitely check out that video if you haven't seen it, because I talk about pacing descriptions. It's exactly what your question is. Okay, and the second part of your question was what parts of the story are better expressed in dialogue and which in narrative. So whether you want to use dialogue or narrative to describe what's happening or express the story, like you said, it's different kinds of showing. It really is, one isn't better than the other. Both are useful and both are needed for different parts of your story. However, you want to make sure that when you are showing something in dialogue, you're not actually just telling us. So I talked about this in a previous video about showing versus telling. That's linked either here or down in the description box below. I don't know, I'm probably running out of cards to put up there. I know YouTube only allows me to put so many. So if not, it's in the description box below. It's about showing versus telling in narrative and also in dialogue. So sometimes if you are trying to tell or show something in dialogue, it can come across as just very info dumpy and bad. So definitely check out that video, see what I mean. I expound on it there, and you just want to make sure that you avoid info dumping and exposition and conflict dumping in dialogue if you end up using dialogue for those moments in your story. I also posted a video very recently about my 6 favorite top tips for writing great dialogue that you might want to check out as well. I could ramble on forever, but I think I will stop there. Okay guys, awesome questions. I hope you got something valuable and good out of my replies. If you want me to answer your writing questions here on YouTube, head on over to patreon.com/Abbie Emmons. Get yourself inside the Facebook group. Spoiler alert, it is an amazing community of writers just like you, and we all have fun and share ideas and just support each other as a writing community. Once you're in the group, you can post any question anywhere. Just make sure you use the hashtag #AskAbbie and I will see it, and maybe I'll even answer it on YouTube. Smash that like button if you liked this video, and be sure to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, because I post writing videos and publishing videos every single Wednesday, and I would love to have you here in the community. Until next week, my friend, stay safe and rock on. Drinks tea while my thoughts are buffering. No matter how I can't talk. Like, I'm such a one-shot writer. However, that does not mean that I can't write a series. I just made myself sound really bad, didn't I? I've plotted series, okay?